Hello, folks out there. This episode of the podcast is partnered by Audible. Greg, you know what I love about Audible?
What do you love about Audible,
I
John?
don't have to pick up a book anymore and carry it around with me. In fact, I carry it around in my phone, which is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. They literally keep thousands of titles right on your phone, accessible at any time when you're driving, when you're cooking, when you're mowing the lawn, changing a diaper, doesn't matter. It's all right there at your fingertips, John. They've got podcasts, they've got lectures, they've got some like health and wellness and like fitness series on there that if you just are looking for something to fill that gap, like you're not getting into a book right now, it's all there for you, man.
If you're a member, Greg, what's cool about it is you get 3 titles per month. The first one you can pick whatever you want. Like I've said, I'll probably start hitting up some of those health and wellness books. And then what's awesome is they have 2 Audible exclusives. Exclusives, folks. You can't get it anywhere else.
It's true. That is very true. So if you guys want to get on the Audible train, you can go to audibletrial.com/JATG. That stands for Johnny and the Greg. Hook yourself up with a 30-day free trial. No promises, no nothing. If you don't like it, which I can't imagine you're not going to like it, you can cancel at any time. But the great thing about that is the books you get during your free trial, or if at any time, those books are yours. Like you get to keep them. You can listen to them nonstop, anytime, all the time.
Sounds like a deal to me, man. So if you guys are smart, like I know you guys are, because you already listen to this podcast, sign yourself up, guys. What do you got to lose? It's 30-day free trial, and it's books, it's knowledge. Gotta drink it up.
It is. It is. So one more time, it is audibletrial.com/JATG.
Hello there, world. It's Johnny and the Greg. Greg,
Hey
we
everybody.
had so much fun today on this podcast.
Oh, we went way over our normal time because we were having so much fun.
Yeah, we talked movies, and there's been a how do I describe this? There's been this topic that keeps coming up about how streaming services and is this the death of movie theaters? And so we brought on your friend.
Yeah, we brought on my buddy Matt. He is the manager of the Towne Cinema in Watertown, Wisconsin. It's a small screen, but Matt and I always have a blast talking movies. And I was really interested to get his take, being that small town movie theater owner, not the
Mm-hmm.
megaplex,
Mm-hmm.
but he still knows so much about the business. So,
Right.
given the developments that we had and like where we're going, and you know, is the vaccination going to make it that we can have a summer of movies or not? So we just cover a lot of stuff. For us, the Super Bowl just happened, so we talk about that, and then we just get into like what are we looking forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. So without further ado, folks, Matt Sampon. Hey, Greg, who do we
Hey,
got today?
John. Oh, we got my buddy Matt here with us. He owns Towne Cinema in Watertown, Wisconsin. We brought him on because we're going to talk movies today.
Movies, movies, movies.
Movies. We're going to talk movies, and then overall, kind of this, I say, state of the union in terms of movie stuff. I mean, 2020 was kind of a shit year for you guys, with the back and the forth, and can you have people in? Can you not? And even now, where you guys can host guests, like Hollywood is still sticking it to you, theater owners, by not releasing much. We got these big budget films that are out there. So let's talk about that. Like, what I mean, I think I want to start because I've learned so much from you, and I've for the folks listening, I've known Matt for years. I've done private screenings at his theater for my friends and family. For the entire Star Wars, like since they got bought by Disney, I think we did all of them there, including Rogue One and Solo and a bunch of the a bunch of the Disney movies, big summer films, Marvel films. Um, but I think I've learned so much from you in terms of like just how the business works. I mean, people don't know that just if you're a theater owner, what do you keep? I mean, you go to like the big theater chains and you're paying 15, maybe $20 a ticket, I hear in some parts of the country. And then they want to sneak in their candy and stuff because they think that the theater owners are just gouging them on candy and concession prices and whatnot, but they don't know how the money works. So can we get into that first and kind of like if someone comes to the theater and buys a ticket, what's the percentage that actually goes back to the studios?
Yeah, really the whole thing with the studios is that they get 70 to 80% of the ticket the first 3 weeks that the movie's out. So we really don't get very much from our tickets at all. So, and you guys touched on this in the first show when you were talking about concessions is kind of the whole thing for us. We really do rely on those concessions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I found that actually quite shocking when I first heard about that, like how much of that ticket price goes back, because I thought for sure like you kept most of that,
Right.
but really hardly, just a real fraction of it. Is it the same per studio, or does it change from like Disney gets a cut and then Warner Brothers gets a different cut, or how does that work?
Sometimes, so really it's kind of straight across the board. When the movie is brand new, we call it on the break. When the movie is brand new, it's almost always 70 to 80%. If it's a Disney movie, it's always 80%.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is kind of negotiable, but outside those 3 first weeks, then it becomes like an aggregate, and basically it goes from 70 to 60 to 50, depending on how long the movie's been around.
Mm-hmm.
And it can go all the way down to our favor, 35%. You know, we can take 65% of the ticket, but that's after it's been out for a month or more.
Who decides that, Matthew? Like, who decides to pull it off or take it out of the theater? Is that you, or is that the studio?
Sometimes we have the option. Other times the studios have to pretty much tell us what they want us to do. And it really does depend. You guys talked about this last time too with when Star Wars comes out, you're really stuck with the movie for 7-8 weeks and there's nothing you can do about it. If we were to get rid of a movie, especially a Disney movie, before our contract, we would jeopardize our relationship with that studio for other bigger movies.
How would they know, Matt?
Well, everything's digital now, so everything that goes through our ticket process, you know, gets uploaded right into the cloud, which then gets, you know, they can access all of our numbers.
Really?
Oh, wow. So what they do is, so like the bigwigs or the people that crunch the numbers at Disney or whatever movie studio, they're looking at how many people have digitally bought the movie or bought a ticket to go to the movie.
Right. And we report our tickets either way because we always have to give that percentage of tickets to the studios. And that's what we have a booking agent to do that for us.
So they just send an email saying, all right, well, we don't want you to have this movie anymore.
Well, that hardly ever happens. It's more like the opposite, where they send us an email and say, you don't have the option to get rid of our movie. You have to keep it for another week or another 2 weeks or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it does make it difficult for us. I mean, for us, we're a 3-screen theater that you know we have here. You talk about Marcus and AMC with the 12 to 16 screens. There's no problem with that. They can just move their movie to whatever studio or whatever theater they want to put it on. There's no problem. For us, with only 3 screens, we have to be a little bit more choosy and hope that we have something that can, you know, stay in our theaters for 2-3 weeks and have people still show up.
When you say choosy, Matt, I'm sorry, Greg. When you say choosy, Matt, are you what is the bidding process? Do you even bid for a movie? Like how do you get to pick? Do they just give you something or?
Well, what they do is they tell you how many prints, you know, they call it prints, but it's all digital now. How many prints of a movie in a market. And if our booker says, you know, there's 4,500 screens that they're willing to give this movie out to, we know we can get it. Anytime it's about 3,500 screens or more, we can definitely get the movie. But This is all pre-COVID, of course. Now, pretty much anything that comes out, we can get our hands on, which is about the only good thing that's happened from COVID, because there's less theaters open. So more prints or more places for the studios to get their movies out, the better for them. It doesn't always work that way, but for the most part, during COVID times, it has been that way.
Yeah, because I remember even it was pre-COVID, I would be sending you messages or emails asking if you're going to get some, I don't know, obscure sci-fi film or horror movie or something like that. And you're like, yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to bring that one in. And I always thought it was because you had 3 screens and you got to bring in movies that are going to be the most bang for your buck.
It's a little bit of that, but it's also, we have all these different strikes against us. We're in a small town. We have 3 screens, and our tickets are $3, or at the time, $4.25. So the studios would look at us and say, well, we're not going to make a lot of money from that theater. They don't need to have our movie. We'd rather give it to Johnson Creek, who's got $12 tickets and more screens, whatever. So they would give them the print as opposed to us. And that's only if it's a limited amount of prints. And I really don't know the science behind that. I don't know why studios wouldn't want their movies to go everywhere, but it happens all the time, unfortunately.
I was talking with my wife on Saturday. We happened to be in the Brookfield area, Brookfield, Wisconsin, where they've got the giant Cinedyne, sit down, have a meal. And we did that a couple Christmases ago. And with my family of 5 at an evening show, we had dinner there. The kids still wanted the popcorn and the snacks and everything else. And so we got all that. By the end of the night, I mean, we were, I want to say $250 in to a family movie. Because we did like the reserved seats. I mean, it was an outing, and we knew that going in. It's not like
so it was like flying first class.
Yeah, I mean, it was something that we planned and budgeted for. We knew what we were getting into. It wasn't a total shock, but it was one of those things where after we were done, and we saw a movie that it was the second Jumanji movie with The Rock and Kevin Hart, which,
don't cry,
in my opinion,
don't cry.
Yeah, in my opinion, just not the strongest movie to come out that year. And I walked out of there, I'm like, that we could have saw that at the Towne and spent a fraction of our and still had a good time. And it had the same amount. I mean, like, it was just I just don't want to go anywhere else anymore, because I'm like, hey, there's plenty of places to eat in that town.
Yeah.
In Watertown, and like good food, great. And what a lot of people don't get is like, they're like, well, it's a small little theater. I'm like, it's all digital. Like, they set standards. Like, you can't, I mean, it's all digital, screen sound. I mean, I don't know. I love it. It's a great theater, and I'm just gushing over it right now. So I'm going to drink.
I appreciate that.
Well, so Matt, let me ask you a question. I'm just going to ask the hard question. If it's a small theater and you got 3 screens and your prices are cheap, but people it sounds like to me people are looking at it as like, yeah, why would I want to go to the small one? My question would be, why open this? Why like, what are you doing?
Well, there's a lot of people asking the same question. Obviously,
sounds like your dad coming through there and be like, "What are you doing, son?"
Yeah, and I don't mean to come across that way, because like Greg and I think both love the theater experience, but I think I'm more on the side of, again, I love the theater experience. It's just I see a realistic view where I feel actually theaters are going to start going into kind of more your territory, where it's okay. Hey, $3. Let's go there. Let's go check that out. Let's go get back to that theater experience that we used to have versus the Marcus theaters where, you're paying an arm and a leg $250 just to go watch a movie. Yeah. It becomes almost a Broadway play there. Like that.
Well, and I think for us, the fact that we're able to have our prices so low, and like right now, anytime the theater's open, it's going to be me that you're going to be seeing there, because we don't have any employees right now because of how slow things are with COVID and everything. Right. There's not a lot of overhead. So the theater, our theater has a little bit more of a fighting chance, I think, than some of the other theaters out there because of the fact that we can control our costs so much, and we don't have to have a packed house every single time to come out ahead. And like right now with the restrictions, we're at 25%, but Watertown's actually just about to go to phase 2, I think, so we're going to be at 50% pretty soon.
Oh, cool.
Awesome. Good.
Doesn't really affect us that much, to be totally honest with you, but when it does, that'd be great when some of those big movies come out. I think that's one of the things that we have, the fact that we can kind of keep tabs on our controllable costs. That's the biggest thing for us.
Yeah, my daughter was actually pretty disappointed because she always wanted to work at Towne. And then, if things turn around here, there's still time during her high school year she might be able to do that. But so one of the things that you've done just to try to keep people coming in the door is that I love it. You are showing like just older films or stuff that I honestly just missed.
Like Raiders of the Lost Ark, or
well,
we didn't do that one yet, but that was actually on my list. Yeah,
I saw
like right now for February. What's that?
I was just gonna say I saw the 1989 Batman there. Like, was it October or something like that? You had a great run of like older, like Halloween based movies. That it's a good time to go. And yeah, I could watch it in somebody's living room on a big digital screen or something like that. But having that theater experience, I brought in some friends, and we just sat there and we watched Batman. It was great.
Yeah, we played the original Superman movie too, and we kind of did some themes for a little while. Like right now, we're doing some Audrey Hepburn movies. We just finished doing Sabrina from 1954. We're doing Roman Holiday. I can't remember the other two. Breakfast at Tiffany's, and another one I'm blanking on. This weekend for Valentine's Day, we're doing Ghost from 1990.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So, okay, let me go back to my original question of why. I guess what I was really asking is, Matthew, where did your love of movies come from to where you wanted to open up your own theater?
Well, okay, just to clear it all, I'm actually just the manager. The owners are still, the guys that live in the town next to us, and they come in and do the stuff that they need to do. But they let me make all the choices and make sure I'm making them money. But in order to do this kind of stuff, I think the love of movies is really from my family. I grew up with my parents that loved watching movies. Almost every weekend we were on the couch watching older movies, and if it was black and white, I'd normally sneak away because those bored me at the time. But my
even
older
the Universal
sister,
monsters, even those?
Oh no. Those are awesome. We just bought myself and an employee of mine have gone through all of the classic monster stuff. We bought it on Blu-ray.
Nice.
And we put it on the big screen, of course. Yeah, that's been pretty cool to watch.
Those movies, man. I think that, I don't know about Greg, but for me, that got my love of movies going. Yeah. Were those things. That was like at nights, I think it was like Friday night, they would play it at like midnight, and I'd do my best to stay up and watch it with my mom. And great memories. And then there was always Sven Gulli, who would have the Return of the Creature of the Black Lagoon after Saturday morning cartoons. Life was pretty sweet when you were a kid and it was Saturday morning.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was more of an Elvira fan than Sven Gulli, but I think that was just me.
Yeah, I don't think that was just you.
No, that wasn't just you.
Okay.
That's when I all of a sudden went, oh, wait a minute, who's that girl?
I like her better. I want to watch her movies.
Well played. Yeah. Go ahead, Greg.
So kind of, you mentioned like getting those, watching the Universal films, and it was just you and an employee, stuff like that. What's the process to like having some of those on the screen? Do the studio still want to come in and be like, hey, that's still our movie? We need a chunk of that. Yeah.
You need licensing for everything we play. A lot of times the movies that we're playing right now that are older than the normal ones, they are coming out in like packages that the studios are coming out with, and they're saying you can play these Audrey Hepburn movies for 35% as opposed to having to pay a flat fee of $300. And for me here, it makes a lot more sense to do the percentage stuff as opposed to paying out 300 or 250, not knowing how many people are going to show up for a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the safest way, if that makes sense for you. So like the studios say for 35% for all the tickets. So if I have 10 people show up, they get 35% of that ticket take. But if they do a flat fee, then I'm paying $300 and hoping I can recoup that from the tickets, and it would never happen, especially in COVID.
So like if John and I were to host a like one night only Evil Dead screening, they would say like we're going to take 35% of all the tickets for that night and just have it be at that.
Yeah. Or a flat fee for something like that. And, we do those all the time. We tell people, get a couple of your friends together, pay $250 for the licensing, and then charge all your guests however much you want. Make it into a fundraiser if you want to do that or something like that.
All right, Matt, let's talk about the big 300-pound gorilla that is rolling down the hill at you guys. The whole streaming thing now where, Black Widow is probably on its way. Mulan came out streaming. The big one, Wonder Woman 1984. And I believe it was Warner Brothers saying they're putting basically all of their movies on HBO Max.
Yeah. You
like
guys
when you heard that, what...
Oh, it was devastating. It really was. I mean, it went from... We used to have this agreement, and you guys talked about NATO before, the National Association of Theater Owners.
Mm-hmm.
They used to have a pact where we would have movies for 3 weeks or whatever, or actually be for 90 days. That was the whole thing. For 90 days, the theaters were protected to play these movies. They couldn't go anywhere before that.
Yep.
All of a sudden, HBO Max comes out, and they're a subsidiary of AT&T. AT&T comes out and says, we're going to put all of Warner Brothers movies, which is the next 21 movies, all on HBO Max the same day. And that was...
What do you mean? You mean all at once, or are you talking about the same day it comes out in the theater?
Sorry, so yes, the same day, right. So the same day it comes out in the theater, it's going to be on HBO Max the same time.
Right,
but
okay.
With that, you only have to have HBO Max as a subscription. There's no premium, rental price or anything like that, like they did with Mulan and Disney Plus.
Yeah.
This is, if you have the subscription for $9 or $10 or whatever it is, you can watch these movies. And that was like, how is that even possible? Like, I thought there was rules. I thought NATO was actually protecting us and all this stuff, and that didn't happen. And then, Disney did their own thing as well, and it turned into, we're supposed to be happy with Warner Brothers giving us the opportunity to play a movie, as opposed to Disney not even giving us that opportunity. Like with Soul, which was a great movie, unfortunately it went right to Disney Plus.
And are these like the rules that NATO had, or were they like gentlemen's agreements, like set up in the 40s or something like that? I mean, it seemed to be like they had no teeth.
That's exactly it. And I really thought that there were actual rules and that there were laws that were protecting us with this kind of stuff. And I haven't heard anyone step up and say, this isn't right. Right now, Universal is doing something with AMC and Cinemark, which are the 2 and 3 largest theater chains in the world. And they're working on a deal where if a new movie comes out and they make $50 million or more, they can put their movie on demand. I think it's 31 days after the movie's been out. So it went from 90 days to 31. If the movie makes less than 50, they can actually bring it out to on demand in 17 days, which is crazy amount. Because the one thing that you guys have to know too for us is that we don't always get movies when they first come out, because there's not a lot of prints. So after it's been out for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, sometimes then we can get a movie. What they're talking about doing is getting the movie that we can first get on their second or third week, it's already going to be on demand as well. So that is a theater killer kind of decision in my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's damn. I mean, that's
And we've got guys like Steven Spielberg coming out saying things like, no, theaters are still going to be around. It's still going to be a thing. And is he just delusional? I mean, he's a big time director. He's got some power and some clout, but it seems like these studios are just like, nope, this is how we're going to do it.
Right.
Like, this is the future. That's it.
I mean, we also have people like Christopher Nolan who said, based on what Warner Brothers did with the HBO Max, that he doesn't want to work with them because what they did was totally wrong.
Yep.
And these companies like Legendary, who's
I was going to say, can you talk about that? Or?
Yeah, so Legendary, who's producing Dune, when that comes out, you got to realize that Legendary has to go to their investors to get their money to be able to make these movies. And they can talk to their investors and say, well, it's going to be out in the movie theater for 90 days. We project this much from the box office. This is how it's going to work. They took all of that away without even asking, basically. They didn't talk to anyone except for Wonder Woman, because originally they were just going to do Wonder Woman as the day in, day out. That's what they call when it's in the theater and it's in on demand right away.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think they gave Patty Jenkins like $10 million. And then Gal Gadot, also, who was a producer, another $10 million as well. So they kind of gave them that money and they said,
like
here.
Hush money.
It almost kind of seems like that, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't go to anyone else for the other 20 movies that they have on their slate. So Legendary said, hey, what's going on? They had a problem with this, and they somehow got a $250 million out-of-court settlement as well. But after that happened, that's when Christopher Nolan stepped up and said, I don't see a relationship with Warner Brothers in any time in the future. I don't condone what they're doing. They're taken away from the theaters, and that was kind of good to hear that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. So how did Wonder Woman do? Like, I don't know the numbers. How did Wonder Woman do? And not only how did Wonder Woman do in the theater, how did it do streaming wise, and how are they getting their value from streaming? You know what I mean? Like, how are they getting their money from streaming?
I think the question behind the question there, John, is did Wonder Woman generate new subscribers for HBO Max?
Because the answer is yes. Yes, it did. But did it do enough? I don't think so. I don't think the numbers were what they were projecting, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, unfortunately. But from what I read, they were doing a comparison of what Wonder Woman was to HBO Max as what Soul was to Disney Plus, because they both came out for Christmas. Disney Plus was like triple what HBO Max was. But again, I don't really know if that's what they were projecting. All I know is that Warner Brothers was reported to say that they didn't make what they were hoping to, and maybe that was going to change their mind. But I mean, if you guys watch any TV at all, they haven't changed their mind at all. They're going full speed ahead with their marketing of.
Well, do you think that has a lot to do with the fact that Wonder Woman wasn't well received?
It could be. I was kind of one of those people that felt it was pretty mediocre, to be honest.
Okay, so you watched it. So how did you watch it? Did you watch it in your theater?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you had it there or not.
Maybe a few days earlier.
Okay, all right.
Oh, I was right there Christmas Day. My whole family went. And I did not like it at all.
But wait a minute, Greg. That's a good point. Okay, so how much did it? If you don't mind me asking, how much did it cost?
For my family to go, it's
like $4 a person.
$3 a ticket.
So we did tickets, and then I let the kids do. So that's nachos and pretzel bites, and I think probably like $45-$50, something like that.
So I guess So my point is, like, it's not. So you were going for more the theater experience and to help local and help local. Yep. And when you walked out, you might have been disappointed by the movie, but you didn't feel like you got ripped off.
No, No. If
That's
in fact, if I would have watched it at home and just did the whole, yeah, we're not going to go to the theater, we're just going to watch this at home, and I would have watched it at home, I probably would have fell asleep about in somewhere in the third act and woken up and went, that movie was shit. I mean, I still think it's shit, but at least I watched the whole film.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know. I think I had a much better experience with it, you know, being in the theater than I did if I would have watched it at home.
all right.
There are things, and this is where I'm going to get up on a soapbox, especially now when filmmakers, like, they've got these movies in the can. They expected them to be on the big screen. That is the experience. That's how they plan. That's how, like, the director of photography, he's like, I'm planning out a shot, and he's thinking about the size of the screen and what's it going to be, what's going to look cool. I'm looking forward, and I hope Godzilla versus Kong is that a date release. So
Yeah.
like my son,
Team Kong. I'm just letting everybody know right now.
Yeah.
Team Kong for Johnny.
I mean, there's no way my son would not want to see that on the big screen. I
Right.
mean, and that's anybody who's a fan of those films. You want to see that on the big screen. Yeah, I mean, even if you have thousands of dollars set up home movie theater, whatever, you want to go to a movie theater and see that. So that's where I'm like, are they going to change how they make films, like, for the small screen? Because, I watched the ones on Netflix. Extraction was a decent film made for the small screen, but I think if they would have taken that on the big screen, it would have kicked ass probably a little bit more.
It did kick ass.
It did kick, but imagine that on a big screen. Like John, we talked about this a year ago, like Top Gun, the sequel of Top Gun. That you want to see that in, like, IMAX.
Right.
Like, that's one that you want to be able to get that illusion of flight when you're watching that film.
I know where you're going, and I almost
get it sitting on your couch.
Yeah, I think what you're doing, and I'm with you and I'm not with you. And what I mean by the not with you part is the new generation, it's like explaining, and I'm going real off topic here, but it's like it's trying to tell my nephew about Michael Jordan. Like, he never saw it. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand what it was like to go to the bar and cheer and watch this at this moment. We're all in this moment where we were shocked when we heard that that Vader was Luke's dad. Indiana Jones took us on an adventure. We were immersed into this theater experience. Right. A lot of these people aren't going to have that. A lot of these people are growing up on Netflix.
Right.
And their big screen televisions in their basement with their surround sound. So I think that's the fight that a lot of people are fighting.
It is, but I disagree on your analogy, because, like, Jordan was like a chunk of time where, like, you can't get that back. In a movie, though, you can recreate that. Like, when Matt shows Raiders of the Lost Ark, my ass is going to be in that seat.
Your ass.
Yeah. And, right. But I think anybody
experienced it.
But you can take a kid, you can pull him off of his phone and say, we're going to go see this movie, and he can have that experience for the first time. It's recreatable, is what I'm saying. Is that he can have
I see your
that.
point now. I see your point. Yeah.
I think the better point, and I'm sorry, Matt, we're not ignoring you. John and I are getting in it. We don't disagree often, but when we do.
No.
Matt's here. Oh, hey, Matt. Oh, I'm kidding. Sorry.
So, and we talked about this. You brought up a point, like, you had a coworker who had said, I can't sit down and watch a movie. And you're like,
Me or Matt?
No, you, John, you told me this.
Okay,
you were,
I'm sorry.
And your day job, you had a guy who was like, a young 20-something was like, yeah, I don't watch movies. And you're like, what do you mean you don't watch movies? He's like,
Matt, do you know Queeber or it's
Quibi.
Quibi. They're 10-minute movies.
Yeah.
Right. Like, he was telling me, and I know what you're talking about now, Greg. He was telling me that he can't sit and watch. Oh, he said he never saw a movie and it shocked me. He goes, I can't sit there and watch that long. And I thought, okay, that's the battle we're fighting. Like, it's the younger, and we're sounding literally like the guy, like back in our day, records sounded better than CDs. You know, that's how we're sounding. That's what it is. That's what this is. We're saying that records are better because they are.
That short form entertainment is what like my kids are being inundated with.
Yes.
And things like TikTok and YouTube that are
absolutely.
really more created for short form. But the thing is, and they can. Okay, I'm gonna slow my brain down here. What I don't want to see is for movie theaters to go away, and then that isn't accessible anymore. Like that's the fight I'm fighting. We need to keep that accessibility there for a kid who eventually puts his phone down and says, you know, I saw clips of this movie called The Raid, and I see that it's playing a midnight show at my local theater. Maybe I want to go check that out and watch it the whole movie and go, holy shit, that's amazing.
Right.
Well, let me ask you a question, Greg. This is interesting because I almost feel like, did Sports Center start this? When I heard a lot of people, including you, say,
"Yep,
I didn't really need to do that. I just need to watch the highlights.
I just needed to watch Sports Center."
Yeah. Did they start this? Did they start this ball rolling? And now all of a sudden it's just, hey, hey, man, I just need to see the trailer.
Like our generation,
like trailers, like Matthew. Remember trailers? Trailers they're like events now. They're not like. I remember the best trailer I ever saw where I was like, I am going to take the day off and I'm going to be first in line to watch Batman versus Superman, because the trailer that Zack Snyder had with the rock and roll and he's coming with that plane and there's and I was like, oh, this is going to be amazing. And then you went there and you went, oh shit, that was the best, most amazing part of it.
Right. Suicide Squad, I think, is like the perfect example.
There you
amazing trailer. The movie was awful, but amazing trailer.
Yeah,
I actually like Batman versus Superman a little bit more than most. So
that's okay.
I'm with Matt on that one. I don't hate that movie as much as some people do. But yeah, trailers are, if you can cut a good trailer, you can get some butts and seats.
Right. So I guess what I'm saying is, did we, I think what Marvel has
generation,
always done, I think what Marvel has always done well with their trailers is they give you stuff, but they don't give you anything.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, and I think that's why the Marvel movies are probably successful, is because you go in there and you're like, oh, they didn't show any of this. And not only that, they sneak stuff that never happens in the movie. You're like, where the hell is Hulk running? Where the hell is, when would that happen? That didn't even show up. They faked us out.
Right.
They get, and I think Marvel's in an interesting spot that in the trailers, they put enough for comic nerds like me, and I think Matt, to be like, oh, I see what they're doing there. And then we're going back to what we read back in the 80s and 90s. And then you've got all these kids that have just been brought up on the movies. And I got into an argument with a 20-something on TikTok over the latest episode of WandaVision. And she was like, this is what it is. I'm like, you haven't read a comic in your life, have you? It's not even that. So
who's the Scarlet Witch people keep talking about?
Man, she's going off on what she thinks it is. And I'm like,
the whole Mephisto thing.
Yeah.
Well, and I do think that he's playing into it, but
I think so a little bit.
She was going off on how, I think I'm getting off track, but just the idea that, Marvel proved that Wanda can't pull people from the multiverse. I'm like, how did they do that? She's like, well, and she kind of went off into this whole reality thing, and I'm like, that is a theory.
Yeah.
And I have a theory too, but it's still, you just recognize that it's a theory.
Yeah. Let me ask you about WandaVision, and not in terms of do you like it or not, but when they started doing this on Disney Plus, what are your thoughts on that? Are you sitting there thinking because I could see paying $3 to go see WandaVision at your theater if they didn't offer it at Disney Plus. Do you see what I'm saying? Doesn't that go back to the old 1950s, the serials?
Sure.
Going to watch Flash Gordon and seeing next week I go watch if he makes the jump or if he doesn't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm all for Disney and all those different streaming places to make their own original content and serials and episodes like that. Just keep the movies coming to the theaters. You know, that's my only request.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Well,
when you were talking about Black Widow, I really do think it's going to come out to the theaters, and they might do a day and date, but I sure hope that they're going to put it in the theater. I mean, I can't see, kind of like what you were saying with Godzilla versus King Kong, I can't see just sitting and watching that on my TV. You know, I would have to watch that on a big screen, and I don't know. We'll see what happens.
And I've brought this up to you when we're standing out talking before or after a show. Like there is a like a system where if they would allow it, that to let you show, like even if it is like Mulan that came out like strictly on Disney Plus, if your theater were to pay like a commercial license or whatever they call it, to be able to say, well, we can show Disney Plus things in our theater, and then maybe have a different pricing structure for that ticket.
Hey, Matt, could you do that?
No.
Could you buy Disney Plus and then just put it on the big screen?
No, there's no commercial licensing like what Greg was just talking about. We would not be able to legally play it for anyone else. You know, we could watch it by ourselves, I suppose, but even that, it all has to do with the size of your screen, and if your screen's over a certain size, it's considered commercial. So technically, no, we wouldn't be able to do that. So it's kind of too bad.
But and I think this is maybe where, if someone would pitch this, I think it would work out. I mean, like my dad is not going to get a Disney Plus subscription because he could give a shit about most of the stuff that's on there. But he does want to see some like the Marvel films, or if there was a Star Wars run or something like that. Right. He would probably show up to those if they would say, hey, you know what, it's the middle of summer, have yourself a Star Wars marathon, and we're going to take 35% of your ticket sales. You know, something like that, where if they were to allow that, I think that would be a way to help support theater owners and the streaming service at the same time.
Well, and I don't want to talk too badly about the Mouse House because they control everything. So, but
they're going to buy the world.
For me personally, my whole issue with like what they did with Soul, and again, it was a beautiful movie. I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch it, but
I can't get through it. I'm sorry.
Oh, really? Well, my partner and I, Lorraine and I, we watched it and we loved it.
Yeah.
And I just kept thinking, I would have loved this on the big screen. I really would have. And I really feel like this was the message that would have been really good, even for a place like Watertown, to have their kids come and watch this and see diversity on the big screen and see, you know, the music element of the whole thing and all of that. So instead of Soul, they give us this wonderful chestnut of Alien during Christmas. We were allowed to play Alien.
Oh my God.
And so to me, again, I think I've said this already, but table scraps. They give us these table scraps and we're supposed to, you know.
Well, not only that, it's not even like a Christmas Story or Scrooged or it's like, something. Here, have something popping out of your chest for Christmas. Yeah.
Right. We had Alien and we had Die Hard, so we were thankful about that. There you go. That was good, and that did okay.
A Johnny and the Greg favorite.
Yeah.
Sure.
But those table scraps just really get me. And this month we just did Remember the Titans, which, you know, for Black History Month, that was a good movie.
Oh, great movie.
Hidden Figures coming out this weekend.
Good movie too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really good movie. Yeah.
But it's not new content. And they're
and
constantly just moving that right to streaming.
That's what we need to see, is that new content coming out. My daughter would hit me if I didn't ask. The Tom Holland movie Cherry, is that still coming to theaters?
It's only Apple TV, and Apple TV is really tough to do for licensing. There's a chance that we could get it after it's been out for a few weeks, but at this point I'm not expecting it.
Well, speaking of Apple TV, I've heard great things about Greyhound.
Yeah, that's another one.
The Tom Hanks
the
film.
Tom Hanks.
I can't see it. I mean, and that's the other thing. If you get all the streaming services that are available to be able to watch some of this new content, I mean, as a middle class family, that your entertainment costs are now so through the roof. Like, I can't pay $250 on a monthly cost to watch movies. I mean, that just doesn't work.
Well, not only that, Paramount during the Super Bowl was just
they're
drilling their streaming service.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up too.
So what does that? What does that mean when, like, Matt, as a manager of a theater, you must be looking at this shit and going, "Oh God, another one." Like, I feel like this is the future because it has to be successful somewhere for these people to just start bringing out all these. So a thing that I proposed to Greg is somebody, one of these big people, one of these big like Marcus theaters and AMC theaters, they have to be sitting there going, okay, let's not get blockbustered. Like, we got to figure this out.
Yeah.
Like, we got to come up with our own maybe our own streaming service where you're going to have to pay to subscribe, and that's the only way you can watch these movies.
Well, and that's what Universal. That's what Universal and AMC did, with and Cinemark. They get, I think it's like 7% of the tickets if they do the premium VOD. AMC gets 7% of those tickets, and the bigger places can probably figure something out. I think you had talked about, Johnny, when you were talking about Plan B. There is no Plan B for us. There really isn't. Plan B might be for the bigger places to figure out how to tap into Netflix and whatnot, but the small guys like us,
Well, and I even think the theaters that are surrounding us, I mean, Johnson Creek, the theater down there, they're not going to survive. I mean, their Plan B can't be to go with like a streaming service. The closest one to us would be the Majestic,
right?
And again, I don't know that if I'm going to make that trek that often.
Yeah.
To go see movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's killing. It's just killer.
Yeah, it is a killer. And I feel bad. Like, I was talking to my sister about this, and my sister Kim, Greg, and she is as gung-ho as you are. She just sat there and shook her head when I was talking to her. Like, she was just, I was just playing devil's advocate. Like, because I don't want theaters to die either. I really don't. I just see it I see these streaming services and the way that they're releasing these things because they want to make their money somehow. I feel like it's like Thanos. It's inevitable. It's coming. And you're just hoping and praying that something that the world goes back to normal, but I don't think we're ever going to go back to normal how it used to be. Just because people that were fearful of going online and shopping, they've had an entire year to get used to it and realize, oh shit, this isn't that hard. Everything that I've been like saying no to, or everything I've been like, I don't need to do that. Oh shit, I can just go I can just go online and then just drive up to Target and they put it in my trunk. And the world's getting lazy, more efficient, and we're getting lazier and lazier and lazier.
Yeah.
And I think your plan B, if you're a small movie theater, is to keep doing what you're doing with Rocky Horror Picture Show and Raiders of the Lost Ark weekend and, an entire Indiana Jones marathon. I think that's plan B.
But then also remember that these different studios like Paramount is going to put Indiana Jones on Paramount Plus.
Oh,
and
you're right.
Yeah.
Sorry,
that's just it.
Greg, get rid of Superman. I don't like getting judged when I do it. Okay? For those of you that don't know, Greg has if those of you listening to audio, Greg has this awesome, I would say, how big of a statue is that? Like,
well, it's a bust.
It's a bust of Superman, and his arms are crossed, and he's looking right at us, and I feel like it's like, He's judging us.
It's Superman the animated series. I do have the matching Batman as well, but I figure he was too dark for you, John. So that's why I put
too broody, too broke.
Got those from the Warner Brothers store back in the day when we were happy those were there.
We were friends with Warner Brothers.
Well, and it's such a struggle as a fan.
Of course.
Because like these are movies and man, I can only imagine you feel the same way. We want to see this stuff. Like as a fan, you still want to watch these movies. And it's one of those things where you're like, well, if that's the only option they're going to give me, I'm going to watch it. I mean, and that's just where we're at. I mean, anytime I have an option to see a movie in the theater, I'm going to go to the theater for at least one outing and watch it there. But like with Wonder Woman, I walked out of there and I went, I didn't really like that movie. So I watched it the next day on HBO Max, just to be like, what did I miss? Maybe there's story elements in here that I missed. And right about the same point, I went, nope, this is just not a very good film.
Fell asleep at the same point again?
Oh man. Well, it was the Middle Eastern chase scene.
I actually liked that.
Oh,
nobody
God.
liked that. It was like it like brought me back to Indiana Jones.
That was some circa 1989 CGI happening there. I mean, literally Joel Schumacher's Fantastic Four, or not Joel Schumacher, Roger Corman. Roger Corman's Fantastic Four had better effects of a person running at high speeds than that film did. Literally.
I think
like Catherine Bigelow should be ashamed that she put that out.
I think you're a little
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
I
think this conversation has worked you up, and now you need to attack.
Super excited about her doing a Rogue Squadron. Is it a film or a TV series? I can't remember.
I think it's a film.
But if that's the level of effects, where like that Buck Rogers kind of effects, I'm out.
Speaking of Buck Rogers, they're bringing that back on a TV show. I saw they're bringing
it back. And again, if Aaron Gray's not in it for at least a bit part, I'm out. Come on, it's Aaron Gray. You've met Aaron Gray.
I have met Aaron Gray. She was very nice to me.
Mm-hmm.
She Matt, you ever meet one of those people where you had a crush and you actually talk to them and you're like, and they build the crush even a little bit more? You're like, oh, you're everything I thought you'd be.
No, I mean, if Lorraine's watching this, yes.
Good answer. That is the right answer. Yeah, I took John down to a comic convention in Chicago, and Aaron Gray was there, being Aaron Gray and selling pictures and stuff. And we went up and talked to her, and she was delightful.
She was delightful. She was very delightful. Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Have you ever met anybody, Matt, that you were like, you looked up to as in whatever age, and when you finally met them, you were like, oh, wow, you're a dick?
No, not really. Because I never, when I went to the different cons and stuff, I never paid that extra money to, meet anyone or get a signature or anything like that. So I guess,
Greg, we don't either. Do we?
We
just
really
don't
don't
bump into people.
Well, and the thing is, like, when he met Aaron Gray, and I did too, it was before they like set them away from the rest of the con. Like now there's like an autograph section.
Yeah,
and you have to walk 50 yards up an aisle to get to somebody. This was just like she had a table, and you could just walk right up. She was like next to the entrance practically, and we were just like, "Hey, Aaron Gray, how you doing?" And she was very nice, and but even John and I we were down at C2E2 where they do have like this huge corralling system, and I can't remember his name now, but the guy who played Diggle on Arrow.
Oh, Arrow, yeah.
The Green Arrow series on CW. He was there, and there was some buzz about him possibly playing Jon Stewart in a Justice League, like making an appearance in the Justice League film. And so, like, his line, I don't know if there was anybody in it. Like, his time had kind of closed off, or he was just getting. We just walked right up, and we went, "Hey, we're actually not going to pay to do anything here, like take your picture. We just want to come up and meet you." And he was like, "That's cool." Like, he's like, "That's fine. I wouldn't pay money to meet me either." And we sat and we talked to him for like 20 minutes, and he was super cool about it. I mean, his handlers, they just keep looking and like side eyeing you to make sure you don't like sneak a camera out and be like, click. I mean, anything like that. But yeah, I've done that with numerous people. I'm just like, yeah, I mean, and it's easy for me. I'd be like, yeah, I teach public school, so like my budget won't allow me to get your signature. I just want to come and meet you. And they're like, hey, that's cool. Come on. So back when I was a teacher, it was easy to do. Now I'd be lying.
All right, Matt, what's going on at your theater where like, and how is it a safe experience? Like, take me to the theater, like make me want to come there.
Well, right now we are requiring masks when you come in. So you need a mask, or we have them for free. Most people nowadays have masks, so that's good. And we are, like I said, we're at 25% right now, but we're probably going to end up being at 50%, I think tomorrow or Wednesday, for capacity. And we sectioned off every other row. So you always have to sit at least a row apart. Right now for our theater, it's slow enough where you can probably have the theater to yourself or just sharing with just a couple other people. So that's a positive for social distancing.
Now, I know Greg had private parties for like a theater every now and then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's something that we're actually really promoting the heck out of because, we have a great movie called Our Friend with Jason Segel, and it's about this lady who's dying from cancer, and it's a fantastic one to bring your entire family to come see on your own and stuff like that. No, we pretty much any movies that are playing currently, we allow people to come in and bring their family, and they can come watch it privately when we're not open, which is right now Monday through Thursday. We're not even open. We're only open on weekends. So we've had some people come in and watch. Like I just had someone yesterday come in after we closed, and they watched Abominable with their kids and stuff like that.
Cool.
And, they didn't want to come during the public shows, and they wanted to come in on their own and feel safe and everything. And so we rent out the theater for $100. You get to have the theater to yourself, and get your concessions, and I guess it was worth it to them.
Yeah.
Are there limits still? Like, because when my private screenings were sellout shows,
right?
In some cases. So would I still, like, if I wanted to host that, if there was something where I got a bunch of people coming, would we still be limited to those constraints of 50%?
You would. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. For your group, we would probably put you in the biggest screen now and still have you sectioned off, and you'd be able to fit everyone in there.
What anything you got going on special? Anything? You know what, Matt? This is your time to reach out to Watertown and anybody in the vicinity, and basically not beg them to come or anything like that, but tell them what are they missing.
I think the one thing that people know about us is that we're very community oriented, and it's not just about our price. I really believe people don't come in just for our prices. They come in for the atmosphere, to be able to talk to me or whoever happens to be working about movies, to have a safe space for your family. Even before COVID, everyone knew that this was a safe place to have your kids dropped off and come watch a movie, and you guys go out and have a couple of beers at a local bar around us and come back and pick up your kids afterwards. We have always really tried to instill a family-oriented atmosphere here at the theater, and I honestly think really kind of already knows that. I think the whole thing is just to let people know that we're open, and we really want people to be able to come out when they feel comfortable. And when you do, come out and get some popcorn and soda. And, that's really what keeps us alive.
All right. That was kind of a heavy discussion because the reason I say it's heavy, man, is because I just feel like we're at this point now where I believe there is a plan B. It's just not what you guys want it to be. And what I mean by you guys, I'm talking about theaters in general, especially, and I don't mean to say this in like the mom and pop theaters, if that's such a thing. I think it's inevitable that people like Greg and me understand, and I guess we live in this is up to us, Greg. It's up to us, and I mean by us, I mean the people that are listening here. It's up to us to take the younger generation to a theater and have them experience it, because it's very easy nowadays, especially when people with like Greg and I who have families now. It's very busy. It's really easy to just pop down on a Friday night and watch something and most likely fall asleep because you're on your own couch.
Yeah.
It's up to us to sit there and it's a big thing that I saw that I was really proud of with the Super Bowl, where all the commercials of eat local, take care of your local, like take care of local customers, take care of local businesses. It's important. And especially ones like yours, Matt, where you're all about community. And I think that's a big point that look, guys, is it easier to hit Disney Plus and watch whatever you're going to watch? Yes. But if you're going to do that and go help out your local community theaters and go watch it there. It's okay. You might start that generation that Greg and I and Matt grew up on, where you went to the theaters, man. That's what it was. Terminator 2, you went there because you wanted to watch Arnold, say, I'll be back again. And Raiders of the Lost Ark, and you fell in love with these characters, and that's where the magic happens. And Greg, Matt, I don't know if you listened to this podcast, but I played the reactions of Thor arriving in Wakanda during Avengers Infinity War, and the roar. Yeah. Or at that moment where Steve Rodgers is about to take on Thanos and his entire army when there's no hope, and all of a sudden he hears on your left. And the crowd just starts going nuts
about that.
Right, and you don't get those goosebumps unless you're in the theater, watching that.
With a group.
Yeah, with a group, of diehards, of people. Like, I know when I watch something, especially Star Wars or geek related, I call Greg because my wife doesn't get it. Like, my wife didn't get WandaVision, that cliffhanger at the end. She didn't get it. And so I had to go, I need to talk to somebody that understands what I just watched. And I knew if we were watching that at a theater and that moment happened at a theater, it wouldn't have been just me that went, oh, holy cow, this is how they're doing it. There would have been this this roar, this excitement, this clapping, this, and that's when, I lost my train of thought. My whole thing is
it's the magic. That's when that magic happens.
The magic.
And I want to piggyback on that, because still my number one experience in a movie theater was probably now 22 years ago, when I was in college, and my then girlfriend, who's now my wife, we drive up to Madison to the small college cinema, and we see a midnight showing of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and everybody is singing the theme. And it's the theater itself reminds me a whole lot of your second screen. It's about that size. And everybody's singing the theme before the movie starts. That point when Harrison Ford kind of comes from the trees and that light gets on his face, the whole place just exploded. We're like, he's here. I mean, it was just that experience doesn't have to be with new content. It's a movie you've seen 100 times, but you watch that with an excited crowd, it's like you're watching it for the first time.
Yeah,
I can't agree more.
Yeah, well said. All right, Matt, enough of the heavy shit. You ready for the gauntlet or not?
Sure.
All right.
We're not talking Super Bowl at all?
You want to talk Super Bowl? I would love to talk Super Bowl.
Why not?
We can.
Do we have time?
Yeah. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, it was a great game. No, it was a crappy game for me, at least.
Greg, really? Were you pulling for KC?
You were pulling for
Well,
KC?
hey, actually, Johnny, you and I have something in common, or at least we did until a couple episodes when you were trying to change your teams. But I'm a Bears fan, and
Oh, okay. What?
you didn't know this, Greg?
I did not know this.
Oh, okay. So I lost a customer apparently out of this, but
No, actually, Greg's pretty cool about it.
okay, good. But hey, we beat the Super Bowl team, so that's kind of cool.
God, are you gonna do this?
You gotta hang on to something.
Exactly.
I guess if you gotta hang on to something, that's something to hang on to. Sure.
But yeah, that episode where you were talking about trying to find a new team, that really hurt me.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? You know what it is? I've come to realize I am not loyal to any team whatsoever. I am more of a player guy. Like if I like the player, I will root for him. So whatever team he's on, I'll root for him. That's pretty much what it's come down to. I actually don't have anything against Kansas City. What irked me was how they acted like the dynasty's here. Like it's here. We're going to win the next 6 in a row. Everybody sucks. We can do whatever we want because we're going to score 17 unanswered points and we're going to blow you out and there's nothing you can do about it. And so that's my only reason why I was kind of like, look, I'm not rooting for these guys. That's where I stood with Kansas City.
And I haven't watched a lot of Kansas City this year, or any year for that matter. But they were definitely like mouthy, like during the game. Like you're losing the entire game. Like they were never up.
I think they were like, panicking. I think it was panic.
You think? I mean, they're
they weren't used to losing
the whole
that
thing,
much.
and it's like, ooh.
I don't think they were used to getting punched in the mouth.
Oh man, they did. I mean,
everything. And I'm going to say this right now to all the people out there who are like, the refs gave them the ball. There was probably one call that I would sit there and say, you know what, that was tic-tacky for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
The Chiefs were in the top 5 all year long for penalties.
Mm-hmm.
And it finally caught up to them. So it wasn't like the refs were for Tom Brady and all that shit. It was the fact that when it came time, it was going to bite you in the ass. And I've heard a lot of sports people that do this for a living saying, guys, they're playing and they're blowing people out, but they're making these mistakes time and time and time again. It's going to bite them soon. And it did.
Well, and they were high school level mistakes. Some of them. I mean, I'm sorry, but if you're playing professional ball and you're lined up over the line of scrimmage,
yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Like you know the rules to the game, right? You know your position and where you should stand.
Yes.
That's what I was most shocked by.
Yeah. What were you gonna say? You looked like you were ready to say something, Matt.
Oh no. You guys are hitting it. I personally I do like Andy Reid. So I feel like I probably was rooting for him more than rooting against Tom Brady like everyone else. But to me it didn't go the way that I wanted it to, but that's okay.
Well, how did you want it to go? Did you want Kansas City to win, or did you just want a closer game?
I wanted a closer game. I definitely wanted Kansas City to win, but I also wanted it to be at least a game that was worthwhile. But after halftime, it was done.
You know what's interesting? If that was any other quarterback other than Patrick Mahomes, I would have felt that it was over at halftime. Now that I'm looking at it now, I thought to myself, now that I'm looking at it now, I'm thinking, yeah, it was totally over by halftime. But I've seen that guy, go in spurts of like 38 points.
Yeah.
Like just boom, 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 like this. And I thought he's going to do this. He's going to come back. By the way, anybody out there that is a Patrick Mahomes fan or anybody out there that is a Kansas City Chiefs fan, that dude gave everything he absolutely had. Do you know he had 497 yards rushing, like as he was scrambling back there? That's how many yards.
Oh, yeah.
Nearly ran for 500 yards trying to avoid getting massacred.
I was totally impressed with. I mean, they didn't connect, but some of those passes that he would
Right on the money.
falling down,
Yes.
and like almost on the ground, and does like this weird
He was
sidearm.
horizontal. Yes, horizontal, and he throws a
Yeah.
perfect pass that is dropped.
Yeah, that I was very, very impressed with that. But his offensive line should be ashamed of themselves.
Well, I don't know if you know this or not. They lost their 2 starting tackles to injuries.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he wasn't coming with a full offensive line.
Okay.
Like
recently,
I thought,
in
in the
playoffs they lost him?
AFC Championship game, he lost his left tackle for the year, like torn Achilles or something like that.
Oh.
And then they lost some guy named Mitchell Schwartz, the other tackle, like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Huh.
So it was coming, and it was coming. If it wasn't this Super Bowl, it was coming. But this is one of those Super Bowls where the Bucks smacked him in the face and they panicked. That's the first time I ever saw Patrick Mahomes panic. Like,
it looked like he was going to cry a couple times.
Oh, of course.
I mean, yeah.
He was
they
like,
locked down Hill too. That was the whole
Absolutely.
thing. He didn't have that safety net. I mean, Travis Kelce still had a decent game, 117 yards or whatever, no touchdowns, but yeah. But without Hill, they look like a whole different team.
Yeah, and it goes to show you that I don't care if you're Superman back there. If you get pressure, it makes you look very. I mean, it brings me back to when Tom Brady was undefeated and he went into the Super Bowl and the Giants just beat the shit out of him. Like, he had no time to pass to anybody, and it reminded me of that. Yeah. Now, I'd like to switch on to Tom Brady.
I knew it.
Matt, if you don't know, I'm a huge Tom Brady fan, and it's not for the reasons that a lot of people think. I get a lot of people. What I've noticed about America is we love a winner until you win too much, then we don't like you. I don't know where to start. There's so much I can start with, and I don't want to come across as braggy because it's not like I won the Super Bowl. Even though this is great, this is ridiculous about me. You can ask my wife. When Tom Brady's in the Super Bowl, it's like I'm actually there. I think what he does, I think we have this mind lock, and I think he throws all of the anxiety and all the emotions into me because he never looks flustered to me. And I take it all. I know that sounds so stupid, but it feels like I'm actually going to play in this game. That's how revved up I get. That's Greg. That's why I didn't talk to you when you were texting me.
Yeah, you were just ignoring
stuff,
me.
and I didn't respond to you because I was like, I'm locked in. I can't. It's ridiculous. I'm embarrassed by myself. I wish I would have recorded myself so I could see it and go like, oh, dude, you need to get a life. But there's no debate. And in my opinion, after he beat Atlanta, the debate was over there, but everybody wants to keep giving. There's this problem in sports that's pissing me off lately where people can start talking themselves in the conversation just by saying I'm the GOAT. Like, this whole idea of Aaron Rodgers being in the GOAT conversation is laughable to me. He's a great player. He's amazing. But if we're talking about the greatest of all time, there has to be separators. You have to be picky. You have to be.
Yep.
You have to take these things in account. Like, this guy did this. This guy did this. And the problem that I'm getting now from people is with Brady, or I think is laughable, is the only way people can chip away at him is by giving what-if scenarios. Like, well, if Peyton Manning had that defense, he'd be doing good. He would have won 6. Or if Peyton Manning was on the Patriots, and they're giving me a bunch of what-ifs and projections. Well, Patrick Mahomes, if he keeps going the current rate he's going to go, he's going to out surpass Brady. No one's giving me facts. No one's giving me this is why he's not the GOAT. There's nothing there.
Matt.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying, I mean, Rodgers, obviously, as a Bears fan, can't stand him as a player, but knows that I know that he's one of the best, obviously, of all time. But you're right. All the Packer fans, then Johnny, they'll come up and say, "Well, if he had some receivers." I mean, Tom Brady had Edelman and Amendola, and who are these people? These aren't great receivers either, and he was still able to make it work. And I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, the last thing I'm going to do with damn it, I had something, but there's so much in my head I can't get rid of it.
Let me take it.
Yeah, go.
So, anybody who's listening to the show and has heard us talk about Brady knows that I'm not a fan. And I can't point to why I'm not a fan, or at least I've never been able to. And I watched the game yesterday. I was watching it objectively. I wasn't rooting for one side or the other. I was just happy that I smoked a brisket all day and it turned out well. So, so as I was doing that and just gorging myself on brisket and queso, I'm watching the game and I wouldn't say I was rooting for Tampa Bay, but I found myself being excited about some of the plays they were doing, offensively and defensively. Now, I definitely do not like Ndamukong Suh.
I don't either.
For his overall attitude as a player and
correct
some of the things that he did, but he had a hell of a game. I mean, as a former defensive lineman, I'm watching that going, damn, that boy good.
Dude, what about that linebacker? 45?
Yep. But the thing about Brady.
Yeah.
And Krista was finally paying attention to the game a little bit, and she pointed it out. He's got all these. I've never said that Tom Brady is not a good player. I've never said that.
Of
he
course
is
not.
a great player.
No.
Because you're, like you said, I can't argue with those facts.
No.
I can't argue with the Super Bowl rings. I can't argue with him being on different teams and making it work. I can't argue with that. But when you're up 30 some points, you're about to win the next Super Bowl, like the one you're going to take home your 7th ring, and you're sitting on the bench like this, and you just mean mug it, like furrowed brow, pissed off. And Krista's like, what is he mad about? He's about to win the Super Bowl. Like, again, why does he look so angry? And I'm like, I don't know. But I think that's that intrinsic thing that made me go, I don't think I like this guy. Or, I don't know. It's petty. It's petty. And so now I'm not going to say I'm a Tom Brady fan, but I've gone to neutral.
Okay. Hey, that's fine.
Because that's a step.
I don't think a lot of people understand that guy, because what you saw was mad. I saw laser focus. I
could see that.
Yeah.
But they had one point where they're showing the huddle, and it was they were in the red zone. So he's got the huddle. Somebody had taken a timeout, and you see him looking over at the sideline, and somebody must have been throwing signals at him. Yeah. And he got this look like, are you fucking kidding me, on his face? And he's like, no.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that.
And I think that's what it was. And I've seen Aaron Rodgers do that too. Or if he doesn't do that face, he'll just walk up to the line, especially not with LaFleur, but a lot with McCarthy. He would just make that face and just be like, and then go change the play on the scrimmage.
Yeah.
But for Tom, that kind of, and I guess do
you know what that was, Greg? I know exactly what play you're talking about. I know exactly what it was.
No, but let me finish.
Sure.
It was, I used to see that as like disrespecting the system, like him putting himself above like coaches and the game plan, and just being like, fuck you, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and you're not going to tell me different, because of his overall presentation of himself.
Okay.
Not being at the line of scrimmage, reading something different, and then making a change.
Right.
And I think that was the thing that made me, along with the cheating scandals, and we've covered that before in the past, but it was all that combination of stuff that made me go, I don't like this guy.
Okay.
Seeing the game that he had with the Saints, and the after game where he was like talking about Drew Brees, when those moments, I still think he's a little bit of a fancy pants, and I'm not crazy about that. But overall, I'm like, okay, yeah, fine. Yep.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing that I think turns off Brady a lot. I mean, turns people off on Brady. He's not Peyton Manning, where he doesn't make jokes. He's not selling Oreos.
He's not.
No, I think he comes off as elitist because he instead of being Nike or Reebok, he's Uggs. Right?
Correct.
He promotes a bed. Like he promotes like the top line bed that you get. Like he promotes these things that you're like, that's not a guy that you'd have a beer with.
We expect it out of professional soccer players, not professional American football players.
I'll give you the number one reason why.
Am I right?
No, I don't think you're right.
Oh, I am too.
I don't know enough about soccer players to say you're right or wrong. Actually, I don't.
The one soccer player, the guy was in the Guy Ritchie films. What the hell is his name?
I don't know. My thing is, Greg, have you ever worn Uggs anything?
No, but I saw yours and I want a pair.
They're amazing. They just are. Okay. Anyway, maybe that's a Christmas gift in your future sometime. This is the main reason why I like Tom Brady. And anytime you want to interject, Matt, go ahead.
Soaking it all in.
All right.
I do have a topic after John makes his point.
He is American. He's everything that you tell your kids when they're growing up. He's not the most talented. Okay. He's not the fastest. He's not the strongest. But he had this, and I think he said it in Armchair Expert. I was naive a little bit, thinking that I was good enough to play with these guys. Mm-hmm. He built himself. He wasn't Peyton Manning, the number 1 draft pick. He didn't have a rocket arm. He built all of that. He would talk about days where he's that guy that was the cool kid, but he decided to stay home instead of go to the party because he wanted to work on his footwork. Mm-hmm. Like, basically what I'm saying is he's American made. He made himself into this. Like, he wasn't a freak of nature like Patrick Mahomes, who looks like he just goes like this and it goes 60 yards and drop it into a bucket. He's not nearly as talented as Aaron Rodgers. He's not nearly as talented as Peyton Manning. He's not nearly as talented as Patrick Mahomes. He's not nearly as talented as Jay Cutler. Okay? I'm talking about, listen, when I mean by that, I'm talking about actually physically talented. Like if you woke up and threw a football.
Like naturally talented.
Yes. He built all of that.
Right.
Okay? He built that. He's the one that sat there and said, you know what? If I'm going to play till I'm this, I have to stop drinking alcohol. I have to start eating right. I have to start like the discipline and the discipline to do it every single day, win, lose, or draw. He's never fallen back on any of his all of his awards. He's never taken a day off. He's everything that you would tell your son. If you apply yourself, this is what can happen. If you actually go all in on whatever your goal is, this is what can happen. And people shit on him for it. And they find excuses. And I'm like, guys, this is what we want our kids to do. We want us to be our best selves. And that takes dedication, discipline, and lack of ego. How many quarterbacks do you know that would take a pay cut year after year after year after year because he just wants good guys on his team so he can win football games? He's probably going to take a pay cut this year in Tampa to bring in more free agents.
Mm.
Right? Isn't that wouldn't you want your quarterback to do that? Wouldn't you want your son or your daughter or you or your spouse to max their potential? That's what this guy's done. He just maxed out his potential, and everybody's pissed off about it. I don't get it.
Okay, what about, just to play devil's advocate, what about Aaron Rodgers, who is more talented, like you had said, but he's also just more personable. He does the commercials, he does the interviews, he does the jokes. He is out there and on the camera a little bit more, at least recently. Isn't that also one of the stories that of the American people that you'd kind of look up to a little bit more, and
I know where you're coming from.
that person,
but
the Tom Brady.
I'm sorry, you cut out. I thought you were done talking. I'm sorry. What did you say? Finish your sentence.
No, the Tom Brady robot.
Oh, the robot. Okay. Okay. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is really personable. I think he's super, super intelligent man. And I think he's just recently become personable because I think he's more relaxed of who he is now. Before I thought maybe he was trying to be better than Brett Favre and he was trying to be what everybody wanted him to be. And now I think he's very at peace with where he's at and with himself. But at the same time, that guy, instead of when he lost in the NFC Championship game, he lit a match. He lit a match for Green Bay. Everybody started worrying about Green Bay. Like, is he going to leave? Is he going to trade him? Is he asking, like, is he going to do what Deshaun Watson does? Like, where he wants to, like, all of a sudden leave Green Bay? He didn't. He lit the match during his press conference. He sits there and he says, like, well, I don't know. It's a beautiful mystery where I'm going to be. And I don't know. And, I'll have to sit back and think about long and hard of what I want to do. And then the next day, if you want to light the match and get Green Bay to start bringing in free agents like J.J. Watt and whoever, that's fine. But then the next day to sit there and go, I don't know where anybody got that from. I don't know why everybody's saying that. It's because you didn't put out the fire, you started it. And now you're claiming like you don't know where that's coming from. That's the type of shit that if he's doing that, he's like that passive aggressive. Would you rather have some guy walk up to you and tell you exactly what's going on and how he's thinking? You'd have more respect for that versus this passive aggressive attitude you're always doing. That's where I think he fails in some areas. Now, I think he's in Green Bay, small market town. He is supremely talented. I wish I had his talent. And I feel he kind of flaunts it. He's kind of a diva. But at the same time, he's kind of earned it. He's not lying when he talks about like most quarterbacks would rather have my bad year. Like that's not wrong. But
right.
I don't know if I answered your question or not, Matt. But that's how I feel.
You did.
Oh, that's how I feel about Aaron. Okay. You want to do something else now, Greg?
Yeah, that's enough of that talk. So along with the Super Bowl comes more than just football. I don't even know if I want to get into the halftime show because it was a little weird. I understand I'm not the target market for that music, and I think they did the best they could in a COVID environment. To me, they should have just left him up on that stage and let him do a concert rather than bring him down on the field with the jock face dancers is what is going on. Memes immediately hit the internet, and I am laughing at those. But since we do have movies on the brain, there were a lot of movie previews that are coming out.
A lot.
Oh, there was. Yeah, we were watching them. So let's just talk about like not whether they're coming to the theater or not, but just being movie fans. What are we looking forward to this year?
King Kong versus Godzilla.
Yep.
You know what? That is the 8-year-old boy in me screaming and shouting.
Absolutely.
That's what all that is.
I hope I get out of
there
that.
and go, but I just want to see two monsters go at it.
And I hope I get more out of that than I got out of Rampage.
Yes.
Oh, you will.
Yes.
You will.
Rampage. You know what's funny about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson? He's had more flops than successes.
Yeah.
And he's still like Arnold couldn't pull it off. Yeah, Arnold couldn't pull that off. Will couldn't pull that off.
No.
This guy, if he just shows up and the movie bombs, they're like, we'd love to have you back.
Yeah.
You know?
Sorry about that. That's on
Yeah.
that's on us. That's our fault.
Exactly. Not you. You looked great. You gave a great line. But I am looking forward to the Netflix movie Red Notice with him, Ryan Reynolds, and Gail Gadot. I'm looking forward to that
Yeah.
movie.
That looked pretty good.
Let's see, the King Kong versus Godzilla. I'm looking forward to Captain Winter Soldier Falcon Winter
Yep.
Soldier.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
That's interesting because I was reading up on that, and it's 6 episodes long, but each episode is an hour long. They said all the Marvel series are gonna encapsulate about 6 hours of episode time, of watch time, even if they're split up into half hours like WandaVision or something like that. But
Right.
yeah, I thought that looked pretty good. I think we saw the back of US Agent, so I want to see what that's going to lead to.
Yeah. What about you, Matt? You have probably an actual list. Don't
I have some. Yeah, I have some. Like Nobody. Nobody looks really good with
Nobody.
Steve Odenkirk.
Oh, that looks amazing, doesn't it?
It's kind of a John Wick ripoff. It looks like almost. It's even got the same producers.
Yeah, write
What?
that down.
Nobody.
You don't know this one? Nobody?
No.
Oh,
just write it down.
April
You're going to want to
2nd.
watch
the trailer.
Now, is that streaming or is that coming to a theater or?
April 2nd. It's supposed to come to theaters.
Okay.
When
I'm
you watch
hoping
it, do
so.
the red band version.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the trailer. Yeah.
I showed that to a buddy of mine, that trailer, because he hadn't heard about it, and we were watching the UFC fights a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, "You haven't seen that?" And I showed him. He's like, "That looks amazing." And I'm like, and Bob Odenkirk, who's not an action guy,
it's Saul, killing people, and that's pretty cool,
Yeah, looks great.
Wait a minute, it's the guy from Better Call Saul?
Yeah, Better Call Saul. And
okay, I gotta watch this. Okay.
Oh,
Raya and the Last Dragon. That looks really good.
It does. I was less impressed with this latest trailer, the Super Bowl trailer. Like, I didn't know.
Shut up, Greg. Put your poo-poo gun away.
Sorry.
The first trailer was really good, though. I think that's the one that we're playing at the theater right now before all the kids' movies. That one looks pretty good.
It looks like a cool animated martial arts film. But then I saw the talking dragon, and I was like, no, okay.
And it's March 5th. Hopefully.
Anyway, go ahead, Matt. What's anything else?
Mortal Kombat, because why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's coming out.
Yeah, there's no trailer or anything, or at least I haven't seen one. But
not a full one. It's a teaser.
That's coming out May. Hopefully.
Talk about a fun movie when that first came out.
Oh yeah, I was in high school. I think I drove about 45
I bought
minutes
that
away
CD.
to watch it.
I bought that CD. Dun, dun, dun,
oh
dun,
yeah,
dun,
the
dun,
little
dun,
techno
dun,
action.
dun, dun. You sit there and like.
I had to see it in the theater 3 times to find a screening where people were not just talking through the entire film. I was like,
hey, let me ask you a question real quick. When you did you all buy that CD, the Mortal Kombat CD?
I had the movie soundtrack.
Okay, that's what I'm talking.
As well as like they did a techno video game soundtrack where they just brought in DJs and like Sonya Blade had her song, Sub-Zero had his song.
So in your private time when no one was watching, did you do martial arts to it? Like shadow box to it? You're like,
I probably did. I
totally did.
I gotta tell you, no, I did not. But when I created a playlist that I would like my hype up playlist before my black belt test, that was the first song.
All right.
I mean, it literally opened up Mortal Kombat, and I was like, "Oh yeah, gonna get it, gonna get it."
Yeah.
That was followed by ESPN's Jock Jams right away too. Just those 2 CDs.
Right.
Okay, hey, Matt, you're doing the Johnny and the Greg thing where we start talking about other stuff.
Oh yeah,
other movies.
Let's stay on that. So we have Nobody, Raya. What else is coming? Mortal Kombat, you said.
Yeah.
What about the Justice League Snyder cut?
Yeah.
Is that only HBO or is that going to be out? Oh, okay.
Only streaming, but interested. This is it's a new precedent. Like never has Hollywood ever said yeah, we're gonna let you take another crack at that
Yeah.
and like completely redo the movie that we released in the theaters.
Give them a ton of money to do it. So.
Yeah. It might happen
I
again
think-
with Star Wars, hearing what I'm
Yes.
hearing, but
Yes. Yeah, I
but
agree
we'll
with
see.
you. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely on that. What are your thoughts on that, Matt? Do you think the movie's even going to be any good? Like, because didn't they give him complete control over Man of Steel, Man of Steel, and Batman versus Superman, right? And so Justice League was supposed to be 2 parts. Is he going? Does anybody know? Is he going to make his 2 parts just really a long type of Game of Thrones type of streaming thing, or is it just we're going to end at a cliffhanger and that's how it ends?
Well, the whole thing is that they say Joss Whedon ruined it, right?
Yes,
Isn't that the
right.
whole thing? Okay. Because Snyder had to leave for whatever reason.
Yes.
Mhm.
I think Snyder does much more dark and gritty,
Yep.
much better than Joss Whedon would. So
of
if they
course,
kind of stick to that theme, I think, hopefully it is going to be pretty good. Like I said, I like Batman versus Superman, so I've faith and hope in it.
The latest thing I read, and I read this from a fan site, so I've got really nothing to back it up, is that we're going to see the death of 2 Justice League members at the end of this film, and that Warner Brothers is just waiting to see how this is received on whether they're going to invite him back to do like his part 2.
Oh.
So
Interesting.
we'll see. I mean, I'm definitely going to watch it. I don't know. It's going to be an event in my house.
Yeah, it'll be an event at my house. I'll be the only one sitting down in my thing going, oh, they did this. Yeah, that'll be me.
No one said it yet, but Dune. So pumped up for Dune.
I don't know about that. I've watched
Oh,
every
gosh.
Dune iteration, and I never walk away impressed. I never walk away a Dooney, I guess you could call it.
Did you ever read the book?
No, the book's like this thick, dude.
Yeah,
I was
it's a
late
giant
in
book.
high school. I'm not.
I get it. I listened to the audiobook. But yeah, I mean, it's because the book is very dense. Like there is a lot of stuff. Matt, did you ever read Dune?
No,
back in the
I
day?
never even saw the 80s version of it either.
Oh, the 80s version is fun. I mean, as far as bad movies go, it's fun. And Patrick Stewart is just chewing up every scene he's in.
What does that even mean? Chewing up every scene.
Oh, he's in the scene and like there's other actors around him, but no matter if he's talking or not, you're looking at Patrick Stewart.
Oh, okay.
Because he comes out. I mean, he's this like classically trained Shakespearean actor. This is before Star Trek.
Yeah.
So he like walks into the scene and he's like throwing his hands everywhere, and they're like, "Whoa, slow down, Patrick." I mean, it's a tight shot. We don't need all this because he's used to acting on stage, and he's like, "Fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway." And it's Stephen Lynch, so
yeah,
it's already pretty out there.
Yeah.
Well, when your hero is the guy
David
from
Lynch,
Twin
I'm sorry,
Peaks,
not
you're
Stephen
screwed.
Lynch. Yeah, it's David Lynch is what I meant to say. But I watched like when Sci-Fi did like the 4-part miniseries, late 90s, I think they did it.
That's what I was talking about. I tried giving that a shot too.
Yeah, I mean, and that for what they could do with it, I thought it was pretty good. But
Yeah, I'm still gonna watch it, but I'm not like chomping at the bit.
And this is not the entire book. This is part 1, I believe, of 2 movies. I think they're going to do a part 2.
What the toys are showing up in Target?
Well, and that's an interesting thing because like while the studios keep delaying these films,
Yeah,
all their merchandising and marketing
is all coming out.
is still full steam ahead.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Black Widow's all of her stuff came out.
Yeah, I mean we're getting toys and Happy Meals and whatever else because they're just like marketing machines going forward, man.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the trailer for Old?
No.
Yeah.
What's that? You
So
saw it too?
Old is M. Night
Shyamalan.
Thank you. It's his new thing, and it looks like people crash land or something, like they're stranded on a beach and they're aging rapidly.
Oh.
And no one knows why. No, I mean it's M. Night. You're just gonna
So
have
it's
to roll with it.
it's Shyamalan's. It's his version of Lost.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm
Well, that
happy that
should be
it's
fun.
a return to him just doing him. Like not
You know
not
what? He
doing
gets a
someone
bad
else's
rap, in my
story.
opinion.
He certainly does. But he
I
did
think
make
some of
Avatar and just completely fuck that
well,
up.
look, I don't know any I don't know any filmmaker that has ever had a
Success
like
every time. Yeah.
yeah. It's just like you put your vision together, and if it works, cool. If it doesn't, well, I try to put my vision together. There are movies that I actually like. I didn't walk away pissed. Like The Village, people lost their minds. I was like, well, that's an interesting twist. Okay,
Right.
I
Right.
can take that. All right. And what was the other one? The Lady in the Pool or Lady in the
Lady
Water?
in Water. That
I was
pretty
like, okay, that's cool. That's kind of weird. Guy works out on only one side of his, but all right, that like sounds
good.
cool.
That was off.
The Happening, I think, is kind of one of those that you can say
That
it
was
was.
another one.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That was a miss.
Wahlberg.
Wait a minute, it was plants, and they were just pissed.
Planets?
Like I think there's a popular meme with Mark Wahlberg how he like looks clueless the entire movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that was a lot of people's when they found out it was the plants. They're like, oh, like the Crazies. That was cool.
That was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Just make it the Crazies with
I
Mark.
forgot that was him.
Yeah.
Actually,
Wait a minute, that was him. He was the Crazies.
was he not? Is that what you're saying? Is that the Crazies was?
I'm saying the Crazies was a better version of The Happening.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Chris Rock is doing a Saw film. That is
Spiral.
Spiral.
Yeah,
Yep. That is in the
right.
can, ready to go. And I am interested because we're seeing a different side to Chris Rock recently. Like he's been on Fargo on
He was
FX.
great in Fargo.
Absolutely. And so seeing kind of like this more serious actor side of him, I'm really looking forward to that. And he, I believe, had a production hand in Spiral.
Mm.
So looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also looking forward to and it happened again. I forgot what I was talking about. I'm sorry, folks, that I do that to you.
I'm heading to my phone because I know I had like a list of
What
films
are we
that I'm
missing,
talking
Matt?
about.
You've actually hit all the ones all the way through May.
So what's coming June, July, August?
Yeah, I don't know.
Top Gun.
You're
maybe?
not allowed to tell us.
Well, no, I really don't know.
Oh, okay. Any of the ones we just mentioned that you might have, you might get, or
We're probably going to play all the ones that we've mentioned so far. The only one that's kind of questionable is Mortal Kombat because the last time they were talking about that movie, it was not going to go super wide, which floors me, but I hope it does.
Well, I could see. I mean, the last Mortal Kombat film wasn't, a hit.
Well, Mortal Kombat was supposed to come out in January, and when it was coming out
Right.
in January, they were talking about like 1,000 screens at most. So we probably wouldn't have been able to get that one.
did anybody see Bloodshot?
No, that was one that I wanted to see it in the theater because comic book movie from a company called Valiant. I mean, wanted to see it and just didn't. And now that it's available VOD, I'm just not doing it.
Just not doing it. I think that's going to be one of
no
those.
excuse.
If it's on TBS one day and I'm doing the chores, I might. I'm folding laundry or something.
It was honestly one of those films that I could have driven to the theater and saw it up by myself, like easily. Like it's like a Friday night, Sunday during the day, matinee or something like that. I'd be like, I'm gonna go see a movie, peaced out for a while and come back. Making like an evening out of it, like with my family, be like, oh, we're gonna rent this movie and we're gonna watch it. They're just not interested. And plus, like my youngest is in 5th grade, so maybe it's not for her.
Hey, I had a thought, and this is kind of going off topic, but it kind of goes back to our original conversation with this podcast was, do you think because it seemed to me, besides Marvel and maybe John Wick, there were a lot of anticipated movies that came out that were just horrible. Like they were bombs. They weren't doing well. They didn't receive like you walked out going, And
Like what? Got any more examples than?
then Rampage.
Yeah, sure.
The one where I actually liked the movie for what it was the one where he has a skyscraper, like where he's doing that one. So those are two Rock movies I was looking forward to, and when I watched them, I was like, okay. But
Yeah.
my point is that okay response you get, right? Maybe that makes people want to stream. Like my sister's a diehard, but she was very happy she streamed Wonder Woman because she would have been pissed off if she went to the theater and saw it. And I thought that's a very interesting point. Like you're a diehard. I never want the theater to end, but a lot of people, I think, are going to. I'm not sure about that movie, so I'm gonna stay home and stream that versus Endgame. Totally want to be there, want to get in that theater. So it's like our movie theater is gonna only be sustainable by the big popcorn movies, the big ones we're waiting for, because King Kong versus Godzilla, I know it's meant to be on a big screen, but I don't know if that's gonna do well. I don't know if it's gonna be a good movie. We might have just saw the best parts.
So are you thinking like the dramas and the rom-coms are just going to go straight to streaming? Meanwhile, your big special effects budget kind of stuff is more the theater type of show?
What I'm saying is there is this lack of commitment, because if you can stay home and watch a movie you're not sure of, that's a lot easier than going to the theater, spending, not in your case, Matt, but $12 at Marcus Theater,
right?
And coming home and being pissed off about it. Matt, my question to you is: has it always been like that, where the big movies like the Endgames and the Infinity Wars and the Marvels carry a movie theater until the next big thing? And you just get little rom-coms and horror movies, and does it work like that?
That's almost exactly how it works, because Marvel always has their certain months where they put out movies. It's May, November, October sometimes.
They started throwing out February.
Well, March became a month.
Yeah.
Starting and I read a thing on this. It was 300. That it was 300 and Watchmen and something else that created March as kind of like a mid-season, here in the upper Midwest, it's the long dark of Moria, where there's just nothing going on. Right. And some filmmakers decided we're going to put some movies out in this time, and they're awesome films. Like I believe John Wick was a March, like the first one was a March release.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And it started being that kind of thing.
But the one thing that I don't know if anyone really thinks about is last year, or at least for 2019, sorry, that was record-breaking box office numbers.
Correct.
And it was the third highest of all time. So it's
what
not
was
the just overall box office for movie theaters. So it's not like the theaters were just slowly dying or anything like this. COVID really just just shut it all down, and Johnny, when you were talking about that 10 to 15 year process of that's what's going to happen, the inevitability of the theaters going out of circulation. I think COVID kind of gave that excuse for the studios to bump their timelines up, and I think that's one of the big things that happened. And to answer your question about the big movies, that's kind of why we're scared of Disney Plus, because they already pulled one from us. They pulled Soul from us, which that should have been a November huge movie for us. And if they do that with Black Widow, it's going to be detrimental.
Do you think that some of the celebrities can start to work their contracts? I mean, because I'm going through the list here and I see Free Guy is supposed to be coming out, which looks great.
It looks great.
Do you think like Ryan Reynolds and like his contracts for future films? I mean, now that we've kind of gone through this process, can say, hey, if I'm going to make a movie,
It
and
better
it's
be
going to
90 days in the theater only.
it better be a theatrical release. We better be
Yeah.
able to see that on the big screen. Because
Yeah.
I heard that's kind of what Nolan was. Cause he's like,
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
not making
Yeah.
a movie that's not going to be shown on the big screen.
The Rock could pull that off.
Well, that's what I mean. Like when you get those mega stars,
Yeah.
if they want to take that stand,
Yeah.
is that going to force studios, or are studios going
Greg,
to?
I think you just solved the problem. So
Well,
any of
they-
the
I
stars
don't know.
out there.
You know,
Because at the
Christopher
same
Nolan
time-
was talking about possibly getting all the Screen Actors Guild to boycott Warner Brothers because of what they're doing.
Okay.
And can you imagine
Hey.
if that's every single actor out there?
Yeah.
You know, and I think there is some voice that some of these big wigs can, these big powerhouse people, directors, producers,
Mhm.
and like you said, even actors can step up and say something. And I think that would go a long ways. I
Turn
mean,
the
it's just
tide,
like
yeah.
in football, if you have a player that says, I don't want to play for this team, you know, the
Mhm.
team's got to, or they have to assign someone in order to make me happy. The team's going to assign someone if that guy's worth enough to them. You know,
Right.
the
Right.
same can be said for all these actors. If they say that we're not gonna act for your studio anymore, I think things would change a little bit.
Yeah.
But who
That's a
knows?
really good point. That was genius, Greg.
It was.
Well, at the same time, the other side of that, I remember reading a story, and this is back in the golden age of Hollywood when the Warner Brothers were actually still running the studio. I think was it Groucho Marx? It was either Marx Brothers or it was James Cagney or somebody made a big deal about, well, I'm not going to do this. Like he didn't want to fulfill some part of his contract, and so I don't even know the Warner brother it was, brought him into the office that had a nice view of the water tower. And he says, whose name is up there? He's like, well, it's Warner. He's like, that's right. It's my name. Get in there and do your fucking film. I mean, it's one of those kind of things. Like I want to know where that balance of power now rests. I mean, given in this social media age where, I mean, The Rock tweets out he could tweet out the name of our podcast and we would be in the top 10 podcasts but the next day.
Yeah.
I mean, with that kind of power, that they could leverage a lot of that. And I think that would be interesting. But just
Yeah, that's an interesting. I'm sure it's going to start trickling that way. I think people are going to start, like people that we're talking about here, the real power brokers in Hollywood. And when I mean the real power brokers, I think the power has shifted. It's gone more to the actors now, because all they have to do is just say, yeah, I'm not going to do this unless I'm on Disney, or unless this goes theatrically for 90 days first. And then that's the only way that I can see it moving forward if it's going to save a business. Now, I want to go back a little bit, Matt, because I didn't mean to say that theaters will phase out. What I meant to say was I don't think theaters are ever going to go away. I think they're going to become more of they won't be as many of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because of the situation now that's going on with streaming and how now Paramount, and I'm sure Warner Brothers is going to, if they're not working on it now, they're definitely going to start is create a Warner Brothers channel.
Well, that's HBO Max.
That's
I mean,
HBO
is that?
Max
Is
now.
okay. I'm sorry, I
is-
didn't know that.
Yep. Well,
Okay.
and to go along with what you're saying, John, and what I think is going to happen, I think the Towne is going to be the type of theater that survives.
Yes, that's what I'm actually.
And it's going to be the mega multiplex that they just can't cover that overhead.
Can't.
Right.
Yes. It's going to be
So-
you guys where it's, hey, we're all going to see the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Let's all do our thing. Or, hey, let's all go see Raiders of the Lost Ark or Back to the Future or Jaws.
Well, you'll have that on screen 3, and you'll have whatever the big summer blockbuster is in screen 1.
Yeah.
And have that kind of mix. So I did look up, I do want to bring up a couple other films that are coming out, just because I want us to talk about them. So talked about Spyro. We talked about Free Guy. There's another Fast and the Furious coming out, F9, which you make that sound, John, but those are some box office numbers.
They make money.
So
Yeah.
does Transformers.
They make monies, and I want to know when eventually they're just going to join G.I. Joe, because that is totally what those films are now. They are what G.I. Joe set out to do and failed. And
I'm waiting for them to jump the shark. I think they're getting there too, because they're talking about space. One of them is going to involve space, and that's when they're going to jump the shark.
They had a preview on the Super Bowl of Vin Diesel swinging a car across a ravine. You're like, what?
Yeah.
That Super Bowl ad I thought was actually really poor. Like, I thought they kind of wasted their money on that one. The trailer for the movie is actually pretty decent, but for what it's worth. But yeah, that Super Bowl ad, I was pretty.
Yeah.
You know what I never understood about Fast and the Furious? They were street racers, and then all of a sudden they become secret agents.
G.I. Joe.
They're saving the. But no, G.I. Joe was the real American hero. They were like a soldier unit. They weren't. Hey, one day he's Bob working at Walmart, and the next day he's saving the world from Cobra. It wasn't that, and that's exactly what this is. This is like Vin Diesel owned a gas station or a chop shop, and he was illegally stealing stereo equipment from trucks. And next thing you know, this guy's fucking saving the world.
Right.
Like
submarine racing a submarine.
And he acts like exactly. He acts like this is what I do.
Yeah.
Like, no, you don't.
So it's all about family. No, it ain't.
Exactly.
It ain't about family anymore, bro.
Exactly.
Superhero wise, we got Venom coming out.
Whatever.
I wasn't a big fan of the first one.
Neither was I.
I actually liked the first one.
Oh, did you?
I did.
I think you have to be a fan of Venom or not.
No, I don't think so. I think you can.
Tom Hardy. I'm a fan of Tom Hardy.
Yeah, Tom Hardy, and I like Tom Hardy. To me, without the Spider-Man connection to it, I think they just missed a lot.
Yeah.
So that, and I'm not saying you make.
It's all right. Wanda's going to take care of it all. It's fine.
That's true. Not saying you make Peter Parker the original host, but just when Venom was like, "I'm a loser on my planet too." What?
Yeah.
No, you're not. Come on.
Yeah, that's the stuff I'm having with. It's funny when things like that break down on a movie, and I go, "What?" out loud. Ursula goes, "Oh, is that wrong? Is that not what he does?"
No, that's totally wrong. Shang-Chi, and Legend of the Ten Rings. I've seen absolutely nothing other than who's in it, but I'm a stupid martial arts movie fan. So a Marvel martial arts film, I'm all for.
No,
me
too.
Maybe.
Got another Purge film coming out. I didn't even know that.
I didn't know that either.
The Forever Purge, slated for
this time.
July 9th.
Wow.
I don't know.
This time the Purge lasts longer than 12 hours.
Right.
Dun, dun, dun.
I love the original Purge film. I love it.
It was an original idea that you were like,
the concept of it was good, and even like the first, I'd say 3 films, like up to Election Night, and the TV series was pretty good.
Yeah.
So I guess that's all the Purge films so far.
Yeah.
So you like them all?
Just like all the Purge.
Yeah, I guess I do like all of them. But I think now like you're getting to the point of like where are they going with it? Like the first 3, like they follow a story, like there's a progression, an escalation. And now I don't. Being that I didn't even know this one was coming out, I'm kind of wondering what they're doing. The Green Knight from A24, they put out some good but weird stuff.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad.
Dev Patel, I think, right?
Yes, Dev Patel. And
You know what I wish they would have pulled off?
Joel Edgerton.
The Universal Monsters universe.
The Dark Universe?
I wish they would have pulled that off. I actually liked The Mummy. I actually liked it. I was like, okay, I'm fine with this.
For what it was, yeah.
Yeah.
For a setup film. Like
I'm not
I
talking
wish I
about the
would've-
Brendan Fraser one. I'm talking about the Tom Cruise one where,
Right.
again, he shows everybody he's the fastest man alive.
Duke can run.
He can run. He can flat out run away from any natural disaster that's coming his way.
Oh, yeah.
Moscow's collapsing. He's running away. The King's Man, which I really want to see because I'm a fan of those films.
Yeah.
The Kingsman film. This is like the origin.
Yes, the origin. Yeah.
There's a Paw Patrol movie, which I know none of us care about, but families are going to dig it.
At least it's still relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Resident Evil remake. Didn't know that was coming.
Now, those are fun movies. They suck, but they're fun.
I'm on board for like 3. I think 4 I was looking at like, okay, you lost me. Oh, Dear Evan Hansen. That'll be a good one. Anybody familiar with that? Dear Evan Hansen?
No.
It's one of the top Broadway plays that's come out recently. Stop it. Why do you hate musicals so much?
You know what? It's a good question. I don't know why I hate musicals. I just feel like
it's going to be right up there with Greatest Showman, in my opinion. I think that's what.
You know what? I actually have never seen The Greatest Showman, and I want to. I desperately want to.
It's a good film.
Yeah, it has a lot of people I actually like. Like, I think her name is Zendaya.
Matt gave a groan.
You didn't like Greatest Showman? You didn't like it?
No. And I do like music. I like some musicals. Like,
Is it because the girl with the big boobs has a better beard, or what?
Oh yeah, she's kind of spoken actually. But
I'm just kidding.
no, I like Chicago. I like some of the musical type stuff, but that one, honestly, it just felt like everyone was doing their acting in their own room, and they just spliced it all together. Like, it didn't feel like there was any continuity between the characters at all.
Okay, I can.
You don't have to agree. You don't have to agree with that.
No, I'm not going to. But I can see where you're getting that from.
Oh, okay.
I think Greg secretly. I think when he dies and goes to heaven, I think his heaven's going to be a musical.
Oh, absolutely.
He's going to walk around the entire time.
A giant Knight of the Cross in a musical.
Superhero.
Superpowers.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly what his heaven is.
Yep. I believe so.
Mine is Tom Brady wins again. Jesus.
Again? We forgot to talk about the Eternals, which is later part of the year in November.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about that.
I haven't seen anything on it. Like, we saw some screenshots and some actors, but we don't even know what the plot is.
Right. I felt that way when I first heard about this Guardians of the Galaxy thing. I'm like, what are we doing?
Well,
what is this? And then I was like, oh, this is fun.
And this is what I say is interesting because, with Guardians of the Galaxy, again, nerds like Matt and I were like, okay, Guardians of the Galaxy? Really? Star-Lord? Okay, well, I'm going to see it because it's a Marvel film.
Yeah.
And we ended up liking it. But, like, our first reaction was, ugh, really? And it ended up being great. And I think part of that was there weren't a lot of preconceived notions.
Right.
Like even the nerds were like, all right, do Guardians. We'll be a blank slate. See how it goes. Mm-hmm. Eternals is the same way. Like, I have some opinions about, really? You're going to do the Eternals? Really? Oh, all right. But at the same time, I'm like, well, you haven't let me down yet. So,
yeah.
Let's
Kevin
just see
Feige knows
Can
how
we
to
talk
do
about
this.
that for one quick second? That's amazing. Like, I don't think a lot of people, especially kids, like I was telling my nephew this the other day, you don't understand how hard and how amazing it was what they put together. Like, from phase 1 of Iron Man all the way to Endgame. Were they all perfect films? No, but some of them weren't great films, but they were still watchable, and they still mattered.
And those early films were gambles.
Yes, and they pulled it off.
Yeah.
And, like, it was something that I think we all wished we could see when we were in the 80s, and when we got something, finally we were like, oh, like, that's a styrofoam suit. What's going on here?
Got rubber ears.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, rubber ears. Exactly. Like taking my Captain America. I'm a Thor Captain America. I became a Thor guy, but I was a Captain America, and when I saw that one, oh my God, that broke my heart.
Broke everybody's heart.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, they're pulling it off, and they're pulling off
Yeah.
with really good actors. And I remember hearing forever that Tom Cruise was going to be Tony Stark. And I thought, oh, he's going to fuck that up.
Well, in the 90s, it would have been. I mean,
yeah. Yeah, you're right. So, okay.
Well,
moving on.
and
Sorry.
the one movie that I'm stupidly excited for, and again, they've cut a great trailer, is Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
And
it looks really good.
That was one of the big disappointments of last summer where I was like, oh, I'm not going to see the Ghostbusters film because it looks amazing.
Yeah, it does. It does. It piques your interest enough. Absolutely.
What's the date for that one?
Right now, November 11th.
Yeah.
So far enough out that
it could happen.
If vaccines actually do their jobs and whatnot, it could happen. It could happen. Could be released, and that's Columbia Pictures, which they don't have a streaming service right now. So,
hey, I thought
just throw a plus on there, and then they have one.
real quick. Didn't Wisconsin stop with the whole mask thing?
No.
Aren't you guys like Florida now?
No. I think.
Evers, the Supreme Court went over Evers, and then Evers dropped another one. So I'm not sure where we're at now, but.
All right.
I'm still wearing one when I go out, so
don't look at me like that, Superman.
He's thinking about that F-bomb you dropped a few minutes ago.
We don't.
God.
Actually, that's true. He would be upset by that, but
yeah. He would be. He'd be like, "We don't do that here, sir." That's not very American of you.
All right. Well, we are
2
hours in.
We're 2 hours in. Matt, this is fun. I'm not going to do the gauntlet unless you want us to run through it real quick.
No, I'm good. Yeah. I don't have to show how dumb I am.
All right.
Next time.
All right, next time. Matt, this was a lot of fun. Thank you very much. Any last words you'd like to tell anybody about where can they find you? Like Instagrams, Facebook?
Yeah, we've got Facebook, The Towne Cinema, Instagram, The Towne Cinema, website, Towne-Cinema. You'll find us. We're in Watertown. We're on Main Street. We're a good place.
Very
TOWNE.
Cool. Greg, any last words for our fine listening audience?
Well, I don't think Clark's going to like it too much, but as you're out and about and you're getting it, and we're hitting a trend in some places where maybe it looks like we can get out and get some places, and you're seeing your fellow man out there, just don't be a douche.
Yeah. And you know what, guys? Quit hating Tom Brady, okay?
I knew that was coming.
All right. For Matt, thank you so much. This is a lot of fun. I actually had a great time. I don't care if anybody's not listening to this one. I had a blast. Greg, as usual, for Johnny and the Greg, we are out of here, guys. Podcast out. Take care.